wisdom.
Kino.
Wisdom.
Kino.
Is that like the rice?
Quinoa.
Quinoa. The quinoa.
Which is also an ancient grain. And what a perfect segue to introducing Ancient Wisdom. Episode 72. Welcome. It's been a while, y'all, but we're here. We're together. We're back again. But I thought I'd illustrate the theme of the show today by telling you an old Aesop tale with a little bit of a twist. You guys might like this. Let me know. Let me know what you think. You guys may remember the tortoise and the hare. Yeah, you know, the tortoise and the hare. Y'all remember, it's like the tortoise and the hare. They had a race. I think one was talking shit about the other's mama or something like that. And they're like, yo, I'm about to beat you in a race. And the tortoise won because the hare was so far ahead that he fell asleep due to his hubris.
Damn.
Man! But I'll tell you what, in Mitch's version of the story, the hare doesn't fall asleep and he wins.
What?
However, the tortoise doesn't feel bad about it because he was able to take in all the sights. He was able to enjoy it, and the hare just sped by.
I never heard this version.
Rushing to the end. Yeah. There's no sort of.
He's in a race sightseeing.
Yeah,
But the real winner was the
real winner
was the tortoise.
You know, and the hare didn't get to take a lovely nap.
Sounds like the tortoise is just trying to spin his narrative so that it seems less bad.
I think the young people call it cope.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of copium.
Yeah.
He's like, but I had a nice walk. I saw a lot.
He's just trying to one-up the situation.
Yeah. So the theme of today is really to think about is like, who are you? Who are you? Where are you in time? I don't know where this is from. I always say that. And what do you value? And do you even care about winning? What is the nature of winning? Does life always have to be a competition? Right? Who are you even competing with? So in chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, Poja's favorite part, where I tell you the name of the chapter. This is Bhakti Yoga.
That's it?
Simpler than the other ones.
Bhakti.
If I was surprised, all the other ones were like a sentence long.
Is that a rice?
Bhakti,
Another type of
yes.
rice? We're learning all the types of
Quinoa, bhakti.
ancient grains today.
That would be basmati, my friend. So you might remember, I got to give a little update, which I've been forgetting to do. But last time we ended with Sri Bhagavan talking to Arjuna. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am. One who is engaged in my pure devotional service. You guys remember this? Free from contaminations of previous activities and mental speculation, and friendly to all beings.
The present
Moments. So we have these four, right, that we were talking about last time. Devotional service, don't worry about the past, don't worry about the future, and be kind. But the most confusing one of all those is what? The devotional service. We don't know what that is. But today, that's what it's going to be about as well. So we're going to talk about, I think this whole chapter is going to be about what is this devotional service of which you speak? One. Arjuna inquired, which is considered to be more perfect? Those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Whoa.
What would that mean?
Brahman, is that the devil?
Could be in the West. You worship God or the devil?
Is
Yeah,
this
what's
the Indian
better?
devil?
The impersonal Brahman?
Yeah, you guys know about this? You guys know
Never.
about this history?
No.
Because, the Brahman's always been a tough one for me, too, because he's God, but he's also not God. And
He's your friend.
in the Indian tradition, there's something called Trimurti, my friend. You guys know Trimurti?
No.
Where it's sort of our version of the Trinity in the
Whoa.
West.
The
here.
Trimurti.
The Trimurti. Perhaps. That's where the word comes from.
Trinity. Everyone knows Trinity comes from Trimurti.
Sounds like I just made that up too. Trimutti, my friend. Which is funny. Why is always God in threes? You know, why are they doing this?
I think we talked about this before, that it's like a number that is unbalanced. So it's like the first unbalanced number. Remember,
the
I think we
X
talked
factor.
about this.
Oh, yeah.
The X factor, some kind of unexplainable
Yeah, very
apparition.
true. It does seem very divine in that sense. You know, one, it's me. I'm not divine. Two, it's me fucking.
It's balanced.
That's not very divine. But three, what? A third?
Yeah, it's like not
What's going on here?
symmetrical.
Yeah. But in the Trimutti, my friend, we have, you may remember, the Brahma, the Vishnu, and the Shiva. So theirs is not the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as ours is in the West, but theirs is Brahma, which is the creator, the beginning of it all. The Vishnu, also known as Krishna, you know, that's the incarnation. The preserver. And then Shiva, of course, is the destroyer. Interesting.
It's a triangle of life guiding you in the cycles of life to death and to
Yeah,
rebirth.
deep. And if you think of God also as death, as we tend to not in the West, it really fills out the whole picture. Like you said, it's the cycle. In the West, we really, our theme of last week was we tend to think about God as being all good, you know. In the Western traditions, God only created good. He didn't create bad. Bad comes from humanity
Satan.
and free will. Yeah, Satan, you know, being given free will as humans did, chose to defy God. And evil stuff, that's not God. No, that's something else. God created all things good. It said everything he made was good. But in the Eastern traditions, it's not so separate. God, it could be good and bad. It's the full experience. Like, God is the destroyer. Why would God destroy things? I thought he was love.
What else is going to destroy stuff?
Exactly. Deep.
Like, what else is there that's so amazing to destroy things if God is the, you know, right? Is there like what is there, like a God B?
That's a good question. Yeah. Do we call it Satan? He destroys? Do we need to make up another God?
Is he always lesser than
to kill
the first
things?
one?
Yeah. We just kind of resort to like Greek stuff and say Thanatos and Hades end up killing you, you know, death. You're Christian, but you always talk about the spirit of death as if that's another thing, you know, the Grim Reaper. Where does that shit come from?
Corporations, man.
Yeah, I think the Trimutti does a better job of being honest with you and not coddling your life to make it seem like it's all sunshine and roses. It says that you must fully enjoy the sunshine and roses of life with the idea of the darkness still always being somewhere lurking.
Man, very true, because as we talked about, you know, Arjuna went on basically a DMT trip last time, and you need to go to the depths of hell sometimes to be able to wake up. I had an experience last night, you know. I've had a rough week, but then once you go in to the depths of hell and you say this word, allow. You say this word, allow. Let it be what it is. I have no control over this. All of a sudden, like, it is a pathway of some kind towards God. It is some kind of pathway to God. And for those who don't know, do you guys know about the Bhaktas and the Jhanis, my friend?
Oh, that's the...
I forget. Tell me.
Oh.
It's been a while.
You guys are so wise. Allow me to refresh your memories from something that you definitely knew. So the Bhaktas and the Jhanis, my friend, are really what we call in the West the personalists versus the impersonalists. Now, what does this mean? The Bhaktas worship a personal God, sort of like Vishnu, a personal God. We see him as a being. Believing in a loving relationship with the divine, they follow Bhakti Yoga, which is the theme of today. Devotion. Yup. And then you got the impersonalists, which is the other half of it, which is the Jananis, my friend, which focus on Brahman. Isn't this funny? They got their different, you know, I wouldn't call them sects, but just maybe preferences of belief. And that is...
It's like when you go to the villages in Zelda, like Goron City, everything is rock. And this one, everything is Brahma. And if you go to another village, everything is Vishnu.
Wait, actually, that's kind of true. They have like their patron gods and stuff like that.
Yeah, and everything.
Who they say created this city or whatever. Yeah, very true.
Or denominations.
Yeah.
Because Zelda is in India.
So, but then the Brahman, the creator, we don't say, it seems as though we don't call it a person. We call it the formless, the all-pervading, the divine energy. I might translate the Brahman to what the Far East calls the Tao.
Damn, I knew you were going there, you son bitch.
Arjuna wants to know, what's the best way to worship God? Devotional service to God, or just basically meditate to nothingness?
Personal, impersonal.
Personal, impersonal, right? Okay. So you guys have felt that in your life. Do I pray to God, or do I just meditate and be at one with myself?
Yeah,
sort of?
I see it as kind of letting things happen or focus on a personal relationship. I like that explanation.
Right. And yeah, very deep. And I found myself doing both. And then maybe it seems maybe a little satanic, a little wrong in the Western tradition.
I feel like the meditation is more focused on this improving the self, and then when you talk to God, it's more about improving something in the grand scheme of the plan.
Isn't that interesting? It's sort of what you just said is sort of like a reverse, right? I pray to God, the being, for the plan, for the spirit. But if I pray using the spirit, it's for the self.
Trying to
right.
Deep.
That's always my block when I try to go direct to God or like bow down in some way to this thing I'm trying to hold on to. I feel like I get in a thought loop where I can't really connect or make that connection there because I'm putting my ideas on what I need from him, kind of thing.
Amazing. Oh, you don't even know how deep that is. That's going to be the theme of today. So yeah, he's asking, what is better? What do I do? Right? And basically, well, let me break it down first real quick. So I bring this to the West to make people understand what's going on, right? To really bring it to everyone. I want to bring God to everyone. I want the wisdom to overflow. So what is this really? God as a being could be known as the Abrahamics. Abrahamic religions. Everyone in the West, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, all think God is this transcendental being. We have to pray to God, the person known as God.
It's like the coolest guy in the room that everyone argues is friends with the most. That's how I see it.
What's it gotta do? What's it gotta do to be the coolest guy in the room? The coolest guy. What's it gotta do to be the coolest guy in the room? What's it gotta do to be the coolest guy in the room? And we're back. Brief break here on Ancient Wisdom. We talked about the Abrahamics, which is probably more of the personalist. We see God as a being. We relate them to the Bhaktas, my friend. So many names. This is the overflowing wisdom. But just think of it personalist and impersonalist. Easiest way for us to understand. But then, of course, the impersonalist, what would you say? More of like a Taoist sort of perception of the gods, if you will. Even a Shintoist. These are sort of the people that believe more in God as being an unseen force, or perhaps a harmony. Yeah, he lives in the trees. You can't see him.
I like the idea of a personal impersonal. That Taoist kind of
he's
way.
Combining. He's breaking all the rules
because it's like a passive relationship with it. But you're not putting too much work into it. At the same time.
Dare I say you might be from New Delhi? You might be Indian, dog, because then I was getting to India is a mix of both, as we're seeing here. He's saying which way is best. And India seems to be the most open, which is weird because it's such a shithole country right now. But you know what? I think the world is kind of a shithole world right now. Let's be real. Everything has gone down. Like, we have forgotten something. And anything that was cool, ancient China, ancient India, early America, it's all just shit now.
To that point, can I just really say I thought it was funny how Kash Patel was sworn in on the Bhagavad Gita. Did you see that? She's like,
over.
She's like, raise your hand and put your hand on the Gita.
What the fuck?
And I was like, he's swearing in to the Bhagavad. On one hand, I was like, that's kind of cool, but on the other hand, I'm like, this is America.
Yeah, this is America, man. Come on.
But there's some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're studying now. You should be open to this. You should learn. You should be. Digita. There it is. So, and the Indian sort of religions, there's not just one. It's not just the Hindu as we think, but they have Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, all these other things. Do you know there's like 22 national languages of India? Did you know that?
I thought there was more.
Maybe, yeah. I think those are the only like official ones.
Wow.
And then there's so many languages where they have funny Indian accents in.
Yeah,
that they could speak.
Very true. That whole region.
Like Japan, you said that Indian Japanese is hilarious.
I could escape. I could run to the other side of the world, and there'll still be Indians running convenience stores.
At 2 in the morning.
At 2 in the morning, anytime, 24/7. All right, so I think we're caught up. We could finally make it to verse 2. I think we're all on the same page here. And the blessed Lord says, he who has his mind fixed upon my personal form, always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be the most perfect.
Wow. I wonder why that is.
Dog, so what I'm hearing you say, God, is that you prefer Western religions over East.
Sounds like it to me.
This is what God is saying. He's like, yeah, fuck all that Taoism, Shintoism stuff. You might as well be Christian.
So you're saying it might help to have a small portrait of Jesus in your prayer area or something?
Could be. Well, I think Christianity in general is sort of a personalist.
Why don't we
religion.
What was that movie where the kid believed in every religion? Life of Pi?
Oh, could be.
Yeah, his parents were like, you cannot be Christian and Muslim and
at the same time. You're Indian. He was probably closest. He was like us.
Yeah.
You got to pick and choose the best stuff. You got to.
He was just like believing in everything.
I don't know that's what that was about at all. I thought it was just some kid in the sea with a tiger on his raft.
I thought it was a guy who likes math.
That's in there too, but he's also into all the religions.
Yeah.
Not only has anything to do with
It's
math.
kind of like people. We got to bring heaven down to earth a little bit, y'all, right? People, when you meet your hero, you're like, oh, God, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like, this is just a person.
Yep.
Like, right, so many times we really can romanticize people and religions and stories, but it's just that. They're just people, just religions, just stories. They're not really bigger than they are. They're false. I was talking to Evan the other week, and the most wise thing you could do with people is take the best of them. Love the human, sort of forgive the humanity, right? Must forgive what makes them a part of an incarnated being, and yet take what you can from them. You almost have to pick and choose a little bit. If everybody who did something who wronged you kicked out of your life entirely instead of having some forgiveness, you'd kill yourself along with the world on top of that. So just something to keep in mind. So I just think it's funny that God himself likes being seen as a person. Very interesting. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed, and immovable, they too will attain me.
Oh, okay. I thought he was saying one was best.
So he did say one was best. Both can be true.
But they too will attain.
They too will attain. There's a better way, and there's another way.
The scenic way.
The second best way. Yeah. Whoa, there it is. Scenic. You guys now know why I brought Aesop
the
to
tortoise
this?
was the scenic way.
The tortoise in there. The tortoise can win too, because it's just that. It's versions of a story. Was there really a rabbit racing a fucking turtle? No.
That would have gone one way every time.
Yeah, it would have gone one way. But the fact that And the fact that the opposite of what you think would happen ends up being the story, it's reality and story. I'm saying there's sort of a nebulous superposition between them.
The turtle could kill the rabbit.
The turtle could kill the rabbit. They could be living on two different sides of the world.
Or the tortoise can't get snatched up by a bird of prey so easily.
You know, that's true
he
too.
Just goes
the
into
rabbit
his
could
shell.
get taken by a hawk.
Yep.
Right. And it
the
just
turtle
shows,
just goes in his shell.
And he's just like, hey, I win because I'm not dead.
Yeah.
So there's any number of things that could happen. And that's really, it's so deep and it's so subtle. And I hope you guys are grasping that, which is that there's really anything that could happen. There's reality, the story, the superposition between. Anything could be depending on what you see it. So
there could be more than one turtle.
Boom. Turtle could race a turtle. Like it's so hard to put to words.
The old
I think
switcheroo.
You guys understand. And the hare could be in the turtle shell. Oh my god.
Or the turtle jumps on the hare's back.
Yeah, cheats that way. Sleeps on the turtle.
Or maybe it was
jumps across the finish line.
It wasn't even a hare. It was just a rabbit suit.
Yeah,
and
boom.
it was just a homeless
me.
guy.
The whole time.
Yeah, right.
Oh god. So you guys get it. Sounds like you guys are enlightened, and we'll move on. There's more than one way to skin a cat, I've written down here. That's probably the best way to put it colloquially.
What a
to
good
all the boomers.
segue.
They love that phrase.
Boom,
I was going to say that's totally a boomer phrase, and then you said it.
Boom. So, you know, that's what ancient wisdom is about. Get everybody to understand in their own way a little bit. However, they will face more difficulties on their path and their progress will be slow. For embodied beings, the path of the impersonal worship is a hardship. Damn, this is telling us why, basically, that God thinks being worshipped as a being is the best. And we touched on this a few weeks ago, if you guys remember, because even before I get into these notes, it just makes so much logical sense that a human being would prefer and have a much easier time worshiping a being made in the image and likeness of God, which they are.
They need that connection.
Connectome.
Oh my God. That connectome.
Connectome. It's the same reason why I used a boomer phrase, more than one way to skin a cat. You need to connect to these things. If it doesn't make sense, if it's too nebulous, you can't bring heaven to earth. You don't know what's being said.
You also started off the show by saying, who are you? And I feel like whenever I ask that question when I'm alone, it's always just like, I don't know what's going on here. There's no way I could answer that question.
Deep, hell yeah.
I'm talking to yourself like that, but then maybe that's why it's easier to relate to a being, because it's the only thing you sort of kind of understand in this world. Other things,
exactly. Others. Well put. I like that. Deep. You guys are hitting the themes, and that's awesome. And just branching out, right? I sometimes think that this is why the West is failing. One of the many reasons, anyway. Which is that you have these, even worse than the atheists are the spiritual people.
Crystals.
Crystals, my friend. I kind of want to get into crystals and astrology only because of the history of it. That's how our ideas sort of started anyway.
I thought you were going to say to sell it to naive, 19-year-old
there's
women.
more than one way to skin a cat.
I want to get into crystals because I want to make some elixirs.
Boom, there you go.
And
Ewan did that too, dog. He drank gold and shit and did alchemy.
Nice.
He just thought, he analyzed the Bible, thought he could find secret codes.
Man, do you think people just need a picture of God?
I think most people need a picture of God.
They're just like, what is it? Who? What if you just gave him a picture of a guy?
Here's God.
With maybe the Dos Equis guy.
Absolutely. But
that.
The problem with that is you start worshiping idols. You end up worshiping the picture instead of what the picture represents.
Yeah, but they need something. We just said.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're definitely right. But there's always pitfalls,
I know.
as the Gita's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they do to Jesus. But I don't think Jesus, who's to say Jesus really had an idea in mind? It doesn't seem like he was passive, because he went in private and just he was always pictured like this or interpreted like that, bowing his head.
Yeah, and so that's just, again, us creating pictures of Jesus.
Yep.
We don't know what he looked like. We don't know what he did. We just have a few very vague stories about general lessons. And if you take the spirit of that, you're like, this guy was onto something. But I think that's all we could really say about Jesus. It's like, this guy was onto something. That's all I know for sure, is that this guy was definitely onto something. Even the Buddhist priests and stuff like that, the Hindu priests, they talk about Jesus the same way. That guy, if he wasn't enlightened, he was close to him. He was close to it. This guy, he was on the right path, if anything.
When I hear people say they're spiritual, though, they might as well just say that they're an atheist, because I think in some way they just tie it to how they feel. The spirits the spirits they think they're connecting to are really just like the external environment, making them feel all nice and tingly.
Exactly, dude. It ends up being an emotional thing, like because you feel a certain way. That's what God is, and it's so demonic, for lack of a better word. It's the antithesis of praying to Brahman, the unembodied.
That's why they try
so subtle, so deep.
That's why they try to apply so many things to how a relationship should be before it even starts.
Oh, so true.
They try to say, this is how you make me. You're supposed to how you're supposed to make me feel. This is like the kind of love I connect to, kind of thing.
And it's Psychology 101. If you watch this show a lot, people talk because things are on their mind. People say things because it's them. Because they need to be out in the world. They need to live beyond themselves. They need to put out what is on the inside, mostly because death is coming.
They need to post.
They need to post.
People need to post. People posting.
God, social media. And that's why social media has been the worst, because it is the perfect way for just shallow people.
Wow.
To multiply.
And I was thinking of the name Instagram the other day, how it derives from the word telegram. It no longer has anything to do with delivering a message.
Yeah.
You may think you're delivering a message, but you're just delivering the message of like, worship me.
Yeah.
Let me flaunt myself to you, instead of, I'm going to send you a telegram.
Yeah, instantly.
Because I would like you to have it.
Hell yeah. Wow. So true, man. And I tend to think that if you make a religion of your own, it changes by your emotional state, your personality state, how much time you have to put into it, and how much you even care to look into the nature of God, like we do on this show. We look into all the religions, but do you think those people who say I'm spiritual do that? No, they'll say like, closer to Buddhism, but fuck Christianity. Seriously.
So
my
mom was Christian. That
some bearded guy in the sky.
Yeah, seriously.
Controlling my life.
And is that not based on emotion? You can't just take Christianity. No, it's a perfect example of you feel some sort of way about Christianity and you put it into your beliefs. Yeah. Sorry, Paul, you saying something?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I like the interconnectedness of the Buddhist practice, but fuck Christianity.
What? You don't even care? No! I don't even want to look at it. They're white.
That's so true.
They're Nazis. Like, what? These guys are evil. Yeah, so there's these clear clues. There's these signs you could pick up on the fake spiritual person.
Because your point just a few seconds ago was like the Buddhists were like, that Jesus guy was onto something there. It's like you're not actually practicing what the Buddhists did.
Yeah, very true. Wow, yeah, very true. One can look at the other with reverence and let it be what it is, but can't happen the other way around. So deep. And I think, like many people I could list, it's easy for people just to decide, I'm Christian. It's easy, but that's not a bad thing. If you are sort of a busy guy, like we talked about, kind of have a simple mind, you don't want to look into this. You don't want to watch Ancient Wisdom every episode. You don't want to go to 10 different churches and travel the world. This is saying just be Christian. It's easy to see why people just say, I'm Christian. I go to my church. We've always done this. My parents do it. And just follow the established Christian law. That's all you have to do, and you will be the closest to God. Even the God on the other side of the world, who's not even your God, is telling you that you're closer to God than some of his followers. If you just follow Christianity, you just do it. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that deep? Doesn't that feel divine?
I think that, like, it's kind of like how can I put this? It's kind of like the follow the path discussion that you were talking about in previous episodes. If you're on the path, you're good.
Yeah.
Right? Or if you like want it, if you want to be part of the community, you're like, Poja, do you think you're Christian? I'm like, when I walk by the church, I want it. And you're like, that means you're a Christian. So like the intent may be just that you went far enough to put on the shoes and go to mass.
Yeah.
Is maybe like enough to, what else can you do in this life?
Yeah. You make a choice, you stick there with it. You did it. You did the thing. You're following the rules. All right. Well, then, like, something in your heart is believing in this, and maybe label or not. Let's say you are in that way becoming closer to God, and I think that's the bottom line. And it's great as well too, because way better people than you, through the past thousands of years, have already figured out a lot of this stuff for you. And they formed a church with the rules. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. You guys get what I'm saying with that? It's like, I can't go on a pilgrimage and learn everything about Jesus's life and walk on my knees in gravel through Mexico, whatever the fuck they do. People have already done that for me, and they wrote a book. Now I could just read the book, and I'm closer to God. Just do those things and really take it to heart. You don't need to waste your time wondering and seeking and stuff like that. So he who has fixed his mind upon me, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me and engage all of your intelligence in me. Thus you will always live in me without a doubt.
Sounds very conclusion comforting, kind of like, all right,
right,
cool, man.
So solidifying what we were just saying.
He's like, everything I just said, this is the way. Don't mess it up now.
Don't be messing up. Oh, and I like that point, because our next one here is going to be really fun. I hope you guys like this as much as I did, because basically Krishna then goes on to say, it's not really just those two, personalist and impersonalist. It's kind of a hierarchy of belief. There's a better way to get to me, a quicker way, and a worse way. And the hierarchy goes, I'll say it all, then we'll break it down. All right, you ready? The hierarchy is, fasten your mind to me. If you can't do that, follow the path and principles of yoga and devotional service. If you can't do that, follow or work for me following my instructions. If you can't do that, give up attachments to the fruits of actions. If you can't do that, then just engage in meditation.
Pretty low.
And if you can't even do that, just acquire knowledge of the self. Man. He's giving you a list.
Acquire knowledge of itself.
Yeah.
It's like most people be like, all right, I'll learn about me.
I guess I could do it, but some people can't even do that. Which is funny.
It's like a very excuse-giving yet loving master kind of thing.
I love it in that way.
It's like, you're probably going to fail all these, so just know yourself.
Isn't that...
Build character trying.
No, fuck you. I don't want to know myself. Isn't it so funny, though, in your own lives, it's like people don't even want to do that.
Yep.
To know yourself. And that's why there's so many demonic people out here in the world, because they won't even know themselves. He gives you so many options. You don't even got to do it, but you can't even do the lowest one.
He almost implies by giving you a list that you're not going to be able to do the first things on the list.
Right, very true.
And that's why I love the mustard seed example always, because knowing yourself can happen in an instant. We're like, oh man, I'm sorry about that.
Isn't that so fucking deep? We always said that, and is that not just confirmed right now by the Gita, that knowing oneself, knowing that you could be wrong, is in fact the mustard seed? It's the first one.
At least do that. It's like you can't do any of this, so just
hot take, Evan. Which means
thank you.
Our last episode, we have been right. We self-define the mustard seed as knowing thyself. But this has confirmed it now. The two religions are interconnected, as if we didn't know. Guys, you got to look deeper. You will find the truth. So, I just want to break these down quickly because, I'll say I want to translate these into what we know in the West. It's the funnest part. And of course, even before I do that, this reminds me of our old talk of the purist, hopeful, agnostic, and escapist, doesn't it? Remember that talk about the different ways to get to God as defined by this show? I found it remarkably similar. But let's start from the top. Fasten your mind to me. What is that? What is that? What could that be? You guys could feel free to guess, or I could just tell you. I would say that's sort of living as a monk. Fasten your mind to me.
That's the highest level.
The highest level is you sit and pray all day.
Literally,
you're
you are a
closest
monk.
to God. You are a monk, and it makes sense.
It's tough.
It's tough. Not many people could do that.
Can you have a wife?
Profession. It doesn't say.
I think that involves truly going to where the monks are, though, because like as much as I'd love to be a monk here, like in my place or whatever.
Yeah, you can't do
it. You still have to go out and collect wealth of the world to be able to stay in the place that you are.
Yeah, that's the rough thing. But you know what? And that's also the problem with the modern day as well, unfortunately. I often think and I often lament on this show that modernity has really just turned us into slaves. You couldn't get a slice of land if you wanted to. Your ancient ancestors could be like, oh, look at this. This is my house now.
Yep.
You couldn't even if you wanted to. So it's much harder, and we have become enslaved into a financial system that won't let us escape, into a system of countries and laws and whatnot. We've forgotten the law of God within ourselves, and now we have to follow the law of the devil. So, but if you can't do that, follow the path and principles of yoga and devotional service. What does that sound like to you in the West?
Sounds like do good works. To others.
Go into your yoga class. At the gym.
Putting on my yoga pants.
Going to confession once a month.
Making all the boys know.
I guess to me that sounds like routines, religious practices, routines.
Yep. So you guys are there. I said just go to church, pray regularly, and be kind.
Yep.
Maybe not to say you guys are wrong, but that's how I saw it.
Just being a good Christian.
Yeah, do the thing.
Not the priest.
Try to be like
you
Jesus.
don't got to be a monk, but just do the stuff. Be a good contributing member.
Maybe they'll write an article about you in the church bulletin.
There you go. My dream come true. And then if you can't do that, follow my instructions. What are the instructions in the West? Might you say simply the 10 Commandments?
Or the Golden Rule?
The Golden Rule. Now, isn't that great? If you can't follow the principle.
Oh, this is someone who doesn't go to church, but it's like, all right, I know the rules.
Yes, you got it. Boom, exactly what I was gonna say. Maybe I don't go to church,
but I know the rules.
But I follow the rules. I don't kill. I honor my father and mother.
I have a Christian foundation.
Yeah, I have a Christian foundation. I totally do all those things. Yeah, no God before me. I get it. So isn't that cool? You just follow the rules even though you don't go to church. But if you can't even follow the rules, y'all, if you can't even follow the rules, you must give up attachments to the fruits of your action. What is this?
Oh my gosh.
Stop.
That's serious.
This is getting real.
Oh man. What is that in the West? That's
what
rough.
Is that?
Does that even compute?
That's like don't.
You have to sort of get poetic with it.
I think this is every bad habit. Like in modern times, this would be like getting Uber Eats and like not doing anything that day.
You know what? I'll give that Mitch's check of approval. Yeah. I like it. Again, this is just the ancient wisdom take on all this stuff, but that feels real to me, right?
Yeah. Whatever that is.
Whatever that is.
Just sloppy habit.
I've got it. It's don't
the sloppy habits.
Don't pray or give alms in public.
That's pretty cool, right? Giving up the fruits. Yeah, I'd say so. That is the fruits.
Because those two passages were all based on getting recognition after.
Oh, so that's deep. I like what you guys are saying a lot. I kind of took it to the next level, combining all these things in a way that I said, know that it is not you that does these things, right? So say you do a good thing, like you happen to find yourself giving to charity. Don't be like, hey, that was me. this guy here, I did something good, because it's sort of a demonic path.
I gave alms, motherfucker.
I
gave alms.
That's our new hit single. Yeah, so I like that a lot. If you, because that's what we know on this show. That's what we know from the East. You end up finding yourself doing. That's what we know from Job. You end up finding yourself in situations, and if that situation is a good thing, know that it's not you doing it, but God through you. Give up the fruits of your actions. If you can't do that, engage in meditation. I think that's pretty simple. You know, I just call that in Western terms, stepping away from the material world.
So that's like, after my Starbucks, I meditate.
Yeah. Yeah, like, at least you do that. Even though I don't know if that's real for these folks either. But I'll give it to them.
I did like that second to last one, removing yourself. Like, don't apply yourself to the divine thing happening.
Very
Just
true.
Make that about God.
Isn't that deep? Because the step above said, give up the attachment to the fruits of actions, which is sort of like spiritual, ethereal. Give up what it means to be a good, give up what it means to what you do, what you strive for. But then below that, engage in meditation, to me, is just stepping away from even the material world, the physical now. Now don't even be attached to the physical nature of it. All right, you're not quite at the spiritual level yet. Just say like, oh, it's not everything here. Not everything in this world is means everything I need it to mean. And if you can't do that, come on, man. Come on, man.
And that's what it said in the Bhagavad Gita.
And that's what it said. That's where the end of. Acquire knowledge of self, which is, you know, again, pretty self-explanatory, but ask questions, think for yourself, become an individual, become a real person. Stop using the fucking platitudes. Stop more than one way to skin a cat just because Grandpappy said it. All right? Just think for yourself. Come up with your own phrases. You know who came up with those phrases? Real OGs. You know who made Christianity the realest around? And now you just follow him. Like, all right, that's cool and all, but he's telling you to be a real person. He's telling you to, like, not be a slave.
Pick up that mustard seed.
Yeah, pick it up. So I thought that was a little fun hierarchy, and that feels real to me. How about you guys?
Yeah. I got to the bottom of that.
It's like, this could be easily confused with, this could be easily conflated into, like, I deserve this.
I deserve this. I am God.
You're right. It is
I
all,
deserve this shot.
Yeah, it's all justification. It is all
I've been
for the
good
reward.
today.
Yeah.
Right.
I want ice cream.
Like know yourself the right way. Like don't like self-justify.
God wants me to have this.
Yeah. I was a good boy today.
Don't be that person.
Yeah. Acquire knowledge of the self, but don't, I guess, self-justify is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Very true. I like that. Because he who is never disturbed by anyone, he who is unaffected by happiness, distress, fearfulness, anxiety, is very dear to me. We talked about this before. It's going back to the tough ones. Like, whoa, unaffected by even happiness? By even, like, anxiety, fear? That sort of seems tough, if not instinctual. But he's just sort of giving you the finger pointing at the moon here in the sense of this is true faith. Damn. And it's just logical.
You know what's so crazy? I always have those things like fear, anxiety, and until someone reads a passage like that. Then for a second, I'm like, oh man, I shouldn't be worried about dumb crap like my animal outside right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing a show. We're doing a show here. We're reaching infinity with this web broadcast. There are deeper things going on in life.
Wow, so deep. I love that. I love those moments, bringing heaven to earth, realizing it for oneself. You know, you actually believe that it will be all right, that what you're in. Read Job. I think Job is like one of the most Eastern stories, because many people miss the point of Job, how God took it all away and then gave it back double.
I think that's why it induces so much stress and fear when I used to have that idea of I am an accident in this randomized universe. Because I feel like at one point I thought that might have been inspiring. Like, wow, what are the odds that I'm here? But actually, if you dig deeper, it's like, it's kind of nihilistic and like, oh, nothing matters. I just came here randomly. Like I'm not a piece of everything else going on kind of thing. I'm a result of it.
Wow, hot take. And you could see why these like fake spirituals or whatever would think that, no, like science, man, you know, I'm going to be dead and like, that's okay. No, you're afraid.
Yeah. And not to say I should actively think about like, I'm here for a purpose.
Yeah.
But don't be so naive to think that it's not the case either. Have like a little bit of both.
Right. And, you know, you could simplify that, just by saying faith. Like, there's something going on here. And it is logical for those who don't believe. It's logical. There's something going on here. Like, you are alive. That could be a mustard seed to the mustard seed.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You are alive. Just know that you're alive.
Be astonished at the fact.
Boom. There it is. You don't gotta justify it in any way. I like that point, Evan, a lot, where you don't have to say, "Oh, what an accident! What a chance encounter!
What a curious happening!
What a curious!
What a curious occurrence!
Curious occurrence! No, just be like, whoa, holy shit! I'm alive. You don't need much more than that to bring you to the next level. Anything else is sort of the tricks of the Dark One. Damn. Dark One, man. Pure, impartial, skillful, and selfless. That devotee is dear to me, my friend. So these are the proofs that you are there. I think that's what it's saying. You can't really think, oh, I'm going to not be affected by happiness, blah, blah, blah. But if you get to that point, that's a proof that you're following in the path. That you sort of grow, even if incrementally.
Oh man, it's funny. Sorry, go ahead. I got a point to that.
Go for it.
I think it was very sneaky how he gave a list. Like, if you can't do this, then this, then this, and this. But if you start at the bottom of the list, it's actually in a roundabout way saying you can climb the list, because you're not going to be this. But if this is your starting point, you can admit it and be humble enough to know that that's where most people are.
Very true. Man, very sneaky of you, Krishna, my friend. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's so
very
true.
Sneaky.
Because, like Poach said earlier, too, like we've said, you're on the path. That's really all it is. And, I don't know if I've said this on the show, but this is one of my deepest held beliefs you guys might vibe with, which is that, we talk about free will, this and that. I said, if there is a free will, and again, this is sort of a useless, nonsensical question in the first place, but if we bring it down to earth and have the conversation, if there is a free will, I wholeheartedly believe that there is one choice and one only that you could make on this earthly realm, and that is whether or not you are with it. Whether or not you are on the path, whether or not you vibe with the eternal being, or you lost with the darkness.
Dang.
That's the one choice you could make.
And that choice presents itself all the time.
All the time, ever present.
Yeah.
Omnipresent. I really think that.
Man.
I feel it to my core. Are you with it or are you not with it?
So all we're ever really doing is just like, oh yeah, or no.
Yeah. Boom. Poe has a mastery of bringing heaven to earth.
That's so true.
That's so true. Oh no.
Or oh yeah.
We're vibing now.
No, stop this.
Time stops and you go into hell when you say, oh no.
So fucking true, man. Are you here or are you not? And these are the signs. And I like to, again, on earth, I say this can be done incrementally. You could travel up the scale, but it's simpler than that, because all of these words I'm saying don't even exist. What it is that, are you with it or not? If you're with it, you're going to continue to be with it. You're going to be on the path. And if you're not, you're going to get farther and farther. It's as simple as that. So, and I felt this over the course of my life. How about you guys? I'm less annoyed by people. Faith in good outcomes. Become skillful, selfless, impartial, have more pure intentions. And did I set out to be less annoyed by people and to have understanding and kind of have faith in good outcomes? No. Just kind of happened because you follow the path.
A result of being on the path.
There it is. There it is. He who has equal vision for friend and enemies, unaffected by honor and dishonor, criticism, praise, heat and cold, happiness and grief, unconcerned about residence, is dear to me.
Unconcerned about residence.
So he's going by steps, man. This is pretty tough. It's getting harder and harder, right?
Does that mean you don't care where you live?
You don't care where you live, yep. The grass is always greener, you could say to any one of these phrases. Is it really where you are, or is it who you are? Is it your...
Or when you are?
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking too. Residing in a certain point of time.
A residocracy.
Yeah. It's you might find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but there are other situations where you fail to be present that arrived you to that moment in time too.
And you can see that as a challenge, as a whatever, like, oh, you think you're all present, dog? You think try to be present here? Oh, and they put you in a tough situation. Think you're present, bro? And it could be tough. You're comfortable in one space. They talk about this in the Bible, right? Like you're all cool around your friends and family or something, but then when you're thrown off, something like that, some story like that, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, some kind
swim
of
with the big fish.
Yeah,
Satan temptation kind of thing. That's some kind of story.
Right.
Can you handle the heat?
Yeah. Oh, and that was actually kind of Job too. This might be what I'm thinking of when Satan goes to God and says, "That Job, he only follows you because you give him good stuff. Will he follow you if you take everything away? Will he still be one of your chosen?"
Oh, this is where he made a bet, and he just kind of like,
yeah,
God makes bets.
Fucked up Job.
He's like, I'll show you.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of deep? I'd never realized till now after the discussion today, God in that moment, he might not have really known that Job was going to react the way he did to Satan, but he also had no attachment to the outcome. What Job, because he'd be like, all right, well, I'm God, so there'll be other humans, right? There'll be other Jobs.
Yeah.
If Job fails, so yeah, go ahead. I don't give a crap.
Yeah. And in the words of Krishna, my friend, by following this path, he becomes the most beloved devotee. Boom.
Devotee sounds Hindu.
Devotee, my friend. So exactly what you're saying. Exactly Job in a nutshell in that sense. And we got the big finish here, which is that this path. He says this path, by following this path, he becomes my most beloved devotee. This path? So he doesn't really care which path is what's being implied here, it seems. By following this path, you're my devotee. Doesn't really matter. You could take any one of these paths because it is just the path. It is where you are. So many times we compare ourselves to others. Oh, they're farther on the path, this and that. They got more this, the more that, closer to God. But when you realize it's just a path and your personal journey is just important to God, that's the biggest realization you can make, really. Just be on the path, and then you'll sort of worry less about these things anyway. It seems like in this regard, God is just a GPS giving you the fastest route. But you could plug in, do I want to avoid tolls? Do I want the fastest route, the nicest route? Do I want to avoid highways? In fact, he gives you many options based on who you are. Because that's what life is. It's who you are. There's no comparison that could be made. You guys ever realize that in your own life? You can't compare anything because it's apples and oranges. Oh, Poj has more pianos than me. It's like, what? It's just like, no, we're not living the same life. There's no comparison that could be made at all.
There's also if you imagine if you just switch bodies with someone or something like that, if you just switch to their emotional state of being, you could just be like, oh my God, I had no idea it was
there.
Like they could be worried about something they never even told you about.
That you're not worried about, that you had no idea. Yeah. And God knows that you are an individual, so he refrains from giving you the one-size-fits-all solution. That's kind of why. There's no solution that works for you that works for me, because getting on the path is different. And, Evan's closer to God than me. Man! It's like, no, you can't compare that because the relationship with God can't be compared. A parent loves a child equally. And it's the same reason why the ancient texts are so long and not just one page of bullet points. I'll end with that.
I also think they were never fully satisfied with what they were writing down, and they couldn't really scratch that itch, and we're just reading what they, like, when the gears were really going in their mind, and they were live time trying to figure it out, and this is just like the remnants of the best they could do.
Very deep, man, much like us, much like our lives. And exactly, he can't give us a page of bullet points because it's not going to work that way. They can't figure it out, we can't figure it out, we're different, we're not on the same journey. Let's get even more Eastern with a little bit of what? Mitch translates the Tao. Alas, Mitch translates the Tao, chapter 53. Possessing knowledge may induce apprehension. For when following the great Tao, my only fear would be of going astray. The great Tao is extremely simple, and yet humans still prefer a shorter route. The court is spotless, yet the fields are overgrown and the granaries are empty. To don fancy clothes, to belt a sharp sword, to grow disenchanted with food and drink, having possessions in excess. This is merely boasting as a thief. This is not the Tao.
Oh.
Boasting as a thief.
Man.
The whispered.
It's too much
Yo.
to even express auditorially.
I already figured this one out, Mitch.
Oh, what do we got, Poge?
They want a simpler, shorter route than the path.
Whoa, I like it a lot.
They don't even want to get to the path.
I want my own path.
I want my my path. This isn't my path.
I gotta follow my truth.
This is not my path.
Whoa, so true. God will give you all these options. He say you can follow any one of these paths. You'll be on the path. There's only one, and it's like, no, I want my own path.
Maybe, again, that's why Arjuna had the list. If you can't do this, then this, then this, then this, and this.
Yes.
Because he knew that there's no way you're going to be able to start at the top of those things unless you follow the path.
This is how I know that God is real and people have possessed the Spirit over the course of history, and that when I read the Bible, I could tell which is actually divinely inspired and which isn't. It's very clear to me these days because we're reading a Tao from, which is a Tao, the Tao, which is from a different country from our last ancient text, the Bhagavad Gita, in a different time period. And yet they're almost always saying the same thing from the chapter we just said. Possessing knowledge induces apprehension, like, you sort of have anxiety a little bit between deeds. When I follow the great Tao, the path, the great path, my only fear would be of going astray. I just said that. I just said there's one choice in life. Are you on the path or are you not on the path? Your only fear would be of going off the path, and that fear perhaps puts you off the path in the first place.
Or rejecting the path.
I like it, exactly.
I don't even like this path, Dad.
Which I don't really like. I want my own, which is the next part. Perfect, right? The great Tao is simple, and yet humans still prefer a shorter route. I gave you the path. It is the only path. It's the easiest path. I gave you all the instructions, and you still don't want to follow. Such is human nature.
But it seems like there's an implication of there being other paths, too, which is what confuses it all.
I think there's paths to the path. I think that's what I'm getting to this.
All paths lead to one path, but they're really just detours that kill you.
Yeah, you could pray to they're saying, especially in the Hindu, as you said, you vibe with, which is both the personalist and the impersonalist. You could take both of those paths, they still lead to the path. That's what
But you have to take the path.
Right.
To get to the path, you can't just Uber to the path.
Right. You can't phone it in.
Go to the path.
Exactly. Wow, it's deep. It gets a little confusing with these metaphors because that's earth, because that's humanity, that's language. But there are ways to reach the path, and I think there is one path, but there are ways to reach it, and God has given us all these options. Perhaps the mustard seed is the path to the path. It is the starting of the blooming of the great flower of, as Carl Jung called it, the collective unconscious.
Many paths to the one path.
Oh, I like that. I like how the mustard seed is actually the starting line of the path.
I think so. And it's a plant. It's the roots.
Right.
It's the seed.
And it can only go in one direction. When you have a seed, it can only have one outcome, kind of thing. That's kind of cool. It's a symbol of it being immediate and only being one path, and you're not even on any path until you have that starting point.
I like it a lot. Very true. And it goes on to say, the court is spotless, the fields are overgrown, yet the granaries are empty. What does this mean? It's a little subtle, if you just hear it for the first time. And dude, this is deep. I'm just thinking this now. It reminds me of modern day, where the bad things, the fields are overgrown and the granaries are empty. These are clearly bad. You need to take care of the fields and you need food for the granaries. But then you might think, the court is spotless. Wait, that's a good thing. No. In fact, the natural things here, the field and the food that we need, are lacking completely. That is the ancient wisdom. We're lacking ancient natural wisdom. And yet the courtyard, the court of the king, where things happen, is spotless. There's not anything to be found. The artificial, the fake, your social media account is perfect. It's showing the best life ever. You're dressed in the finest clothes. Everything of artificial nature is perfectly upkept, but everything very natural is destroyed and unkempt.
Whoa. It's like Arjuna's looking at someone's Instagram and be like, oh, yes, these are nice, but where is the real you?
Where's the real you? You look great in these pictures, but I know that's not your life. You're a fucking liar.
Yeah.
Very true. And it says to don fancy clothes, sharp sword, you become disenchanted with food and drink. It's not even enough. It's not even enough to just eat bread anymore. You need to go to a restaurant every day. You need the finest. How many times have I gone off on the show about foodies?
Oh, boy.
You know what I hate? Foodies. I remember that episode so clearly.
I grew up with flavorless chicken. I don't think there was even salt on there.
Man.
Therefore, I can't appreciate any flavor. I can't tell the difference between one pizza place and another. If you can, fuck yourself. Just
That's
kidding.
Deep.
Just kidding. You could have preferences, but I'm just talking about my own personal experience that I really don't care. If I'm alive and it's not bad food and it's not disgusting and it is healthy, it gives me nourishment. It's what I need. It's not much more than that.
And you're right about pizza because dough and sauce probably all comes from the same restaurant depot.
How much? Boom. How much could you possibly change with a lot of these things?
Yeah.
But people will just be snobs about it. Like you could be snob about anything in this world, but you're a snob about food?
Yeah, people are actually serious about the deep dish or Italian style pizza differences.
When you argue about food, it's like you have nothing else to argue about.
Well put.
Because you're so well fed, you're so fat, and you just have nothing else to talk about besides this food sucks.
So the best part about this food is if you don't like it, you're not eating it, man.
Yeah, go fuck off. You don't need it then. Oh no. But anyway, final points here. Possessing knowledge means sort of possessing power over others in this case. That's why it induces apprehension. Should I really have this power over people? And it's the wrong priorities. It's the misuse of power, which is the misuse of knowledge. Why do I even have this? Why do I even want this in the first place?
Oh, man, that is deep.
Right? Why do I want my court to be flawless and yet nobody has any food?
Yeah,
we don't even have any spirit. We're poor, and yet we're still giving our monies to other countries, and yet the politicians are insider trading like we're backwards.
It's like when you go to the villages. At least this happened when I went to Poland, or any villages really, and the house is really shitty. There's a really shitty car, shitty land, shitty driveway, no driveway, but they're wearing Nikes and Gucci clothes. So it's
Yep. What are your priorities?
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, seriously.
That's my metaphor.
What else need you say, right? Where are the priorities? Where's the ancient wisdom?
I like the knowledge being, what do you call it? The knowledge being
power.
Yeah, but it's like a destructive kind of power, you're saying?
Yeah. The wrong priorities, knowledge is like could be a misuse of power.
I found it interesting how in work settings and personal situations where someone's trying to explain something to me that I don't understand, mostly because they're bad at explaining, they get more angry at me not grasping what they're trying to say than me not being able to understand.
Very deep, my friend.
How'd you learn this?
Same thing.
It's weird. It's violent. It is. They get it's bad.
It's even the same thing when someone talks really quiet and I'm like, what'd you say? And then what? I said, It's like, why are you getting mad? You're the one who was like raping me with your mouth. Yeah. And raping my ears with your mouth. Like I didn't ask to hear what you had to say. Like
that very true.
It's weird how it's just sort of nature. So it's very deep, right? Yeah, the personal knowledge making you seem like you're smarter than somebody, or Poja's case making somebody seem like you're cooler than somebody with all this knowledge and all this excess. Why do you want the excess?
It's the more
you're not
stressful.
cool. It's the lacking of personality. It's the lacking of God. It's the lacking of upon being on the path. So when you follow God, all these other things fall away because you don't need to praise Satan. You don't need to praise the self. There's nothing that you need because it's for human beings when you follow this wrong path, when you fall off the path. And what is human beings? It's earth. You fall away from heaven. You become the fallen. So continue following the ways of the ancients. Come back, watch episode 73 next week. This has been 72, and catch you next time. Don't make me go.